Hello, and welcome to the conversation. I am your host, Andrea B. Flintroy. Thank you so much for joining me here, joining this discussion on this evening. If this is your first time joining me, I want to say hello and welcome. And if you are not a newcomer and you are a part of the TC community, hey y'all. But if you are new and you are not a part of the TC community because you was like, wait a minute, she just gave them a different hello. You can definitely be a part of the TC community. You can join the community by three ways. And yes, I said by three ways. How, you ask? Like the conversation, share the conversation, hey, and make a comment in the conversation. Because one thing about the conversation, as we talk about every Wednesday, this is not just a discussion between me and my guests. This is just discussion and a conversation between me, my guests, and the listeners. I always want to bring you along onto this journey in which we are discussing and which we are talking about. And also, anytime on the conversation, I'm definitely going to bring you someone that's going to be real, that's going to be relatable, and that's definitely going to be relevant. So, without any further ado, again, I just want to say hello and welcome to the conversation. But let's get on to my guest. I'm so excited this evening to have my guest, Tiffany Allen. Yay!
Thank you.
So excited because she is going to tell us about showing up in the world. How do we show up in the world? So before we get there, Tiffany, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
I sure can. I am Tiffany Allen, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. So I love everything Cleveland, but currently in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have the pleasure of working with women and serving women and girls in the Charlotte community by working for an organization called Empowerment. We mentor girls and women to become community leaders. As we know, that is so important today. We need female representation in all roles, all across our communities, schools, and industries. So I feel like I have one of the greatest jobs right now in serving girls and helping them define, develop, and defend their voices as leaders.
Ooh, yes. I like how you said that. Define, defend, and what else?
Develop.
Develop,
Yes.
develop their voices. And you know what? That is definitely something that we need more in society, which we need more in the world. And that definitely goes in with our topic on this evening of telling or showing us how we show up in the world. So, can you tell us more about your organization and how you help the young girls to develop, defend, and
Define.
define their voices? You know, I am liking this. Before this evening, I'm definitely going to get that. But definitely, like, how do you help them to define their voices? And what are some challenges that you have found with especially young girls and our women when it comes to defining their voices?
Our core programming is a mentoring programming called the Leadership Academy. We pair ninth grade girls with a professional woman, and hopefully, for the next 4 years during that girl's time in high school, she's working on her talents, her passions, things in the community that she wants to get behind. We really adding fuel and resources into the girl to really help her shape her leadership skills and her leadership voice. And so that's the core of our programming. In a perfect world before the pandemic, we had monthly sessions in person, but right now all of our programming is virtual. And so the girls and the women are meeting via Zoom and Google Hangout, but they're learning how to, become better or how to become leaders. And that's through conflict resolution. We introduced a mental wellness piece this past year because the girls have witnessed so much in the news and just we all have, right? And experiencing the pandemic, we've introduced the mental wellness piece to our programming, but also exposing them to STEM, our local leaders, and just community issues. And so by the time she completes the Leadership Academy program, she is armed with who she is as a leader and can go out and make a change in things that are important to her.
Yes. And so, what are some challenges that you have seen in our young girls and in some of our women with trying to develop their voice? Well, you know what? Trying to even find their voice. Let's say that. What are some of the challenges that you find with them trying to find their voices?
Let's just take last year, for instance, the
Okay.
racial tension, the racial riots that we all saw, that really drew a lot of conversation from the girls. They're watching this unfold on social media as well as their
Hmm.
TVs, and they wanted to get involved. And how does a 13, 14, 15-year-old get involved in the racial riots in the middle of the pandemic, right? So that was a major challenge. How do we navigate? How do we lend our talents and our voices in the midst of a pandemic?
Yeah.
And we had girls really become creative. We challenged them to become creative by writing letters. We actually had some girls
Mm.
that actually marched, right? So they wrote letters to our local elected officials. We had some of our girls marching. We had some of our girls noticing that this was impacting their younger girls and siblings behind them and supporting
Mhm.
them in ways, helping them understanding what was unfolding in front of our eyes. And
Mm.
so one of the biggest challenges last year was like how to become active and stay safe, how to
Yeah.
become active. And this is a big unknown for everyone. Like like you, we were both sitting at home watching this, appalled at this, but the kids
Mhm.
really wanted to take action, really wanted to get involved. And so that was the biggest challenge. But just overall for girls and women, the challenges that we've seen in empowerment is really amplifying the girl's voice. And we know we've been
Mm.
in the room before, right?
Come
And
on now.
we have said something and we're not heard. Someone
Mhm.
else says it, it is accepted, it is applauded. We've been in the rooms where we're not sitting at the table. Someone is speaking for us, but they're not saying what we need them to say.
Mhm.
So just amplifying their voices. And the other challenge is confidence.
Yes.
Um, Again, that awkward age of starting high school, you're not quite sure how to say it, what to say, how to show up, which we're going to talk about later,
Mhm.
has been a challenge, right? So it it's been challenges in the beginning, but it's always amazing, and I'm blessed to witness the growth of the girls throughout the process that we put them through as they learn, as they're connected to other girls and women, and to see them post high school, in college or past college, because we've been around over 10 years, to see these girls grow into these wonderful women that are change agents. They are concerned citizens. They are doing something and shifting the narrative for all girls and women around them. So it's a wonderful thing.
Yes, awesome. You know what? That is so wonderful, and I thank you for the work that you're doing in the community, and also the work that you're doing in these young girls, because it's definitely something that is needed. Um, you know what? It's not enough of them that's out in the world to help our young girls, to help our women, because that is the support that we need. And like you said, how can someone speak for you when they really don't even know? They don't even have your physical compartments. We're gonna say it like that. They don't even
Exactly.
have your physical compartments, but yet they want to sit at a table and dictate what it is that you need, what you should need. They want to dictate when it comes to our preventive measures. They want to dictate all of these things about us, but you don't know the full totality of it because you're not made up like us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I thank you for the work that you do, and especially with our young girls, of teaching them how to divine, develop, and defend their voices.
Thank you. And a shout out to my empowerment team, because without them, we're a small, mighty team that we move mountains and make things happen for the girls and women in our community. So shout out to them.
Awesome. 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 So let's get into this. So how do we, or how can you help us show up in the world? So how do we show the world who we are?
It goes back to a lesson that we've done with the girls in empowerment, the girls and women in empowerment. The first thing is knowing your purpose, right?
Mm.
As a teenager, you're not going to know your purpose. That's going to be a search, right? But
Yeah.
at least we challenge the girls to be exposed to different things. But for women, for adults, Know your purpose and align your words and your actions with your purpose. Because when you do that, you show up and sometimes you show out. Um,
Now,
right.
you know, I like that kind of talk. Keep talking.
So if you know what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it, nothing can stop you. You can walk into any room, you can walk up to anyone and have that conversation, present yourself well. But when you're aligned with your purpose, I think that just sets it off all day long. But knowing what you're about, what you need to do, what you want to accomplish, what has been put on your spirit to move forward with is important. Yeah.
Yes, and you're absolutely right, absolutely right. So we have some new people, some new listeners who have just joined in. I want to say hello to you all. And if you are just now joining us, Miss Tiffany Allen is teaching us on this evening how to show up in the world. And she's also talking about her organization, which she is the executive director of empowerment. And she says that she teaches young girls how to defend, develop, and define their voices. And so that is exactly what she's teaching us on tonight, is how we show up in the world, how we show up, how we shine brightly, and how we stand tall. So if you're just now listening in, stay tuned, because trust me, Miss Tiffany, she has more for us.
I don't know if I'm teaching tonight, but I'm just sharing. I'm sharing.
You know what? It's always a teaching moment, because I think about the saying, and I'm kind of so about the saying, but it says, when you know better, you do better.
Right.
And I always add to it, I know better to do better when I've been taught better.
Mm-hmm.
So if it has not been taught to me or even brought to my awareness, how can I know to do better? And that's exactly what you're doing tonight. You're bringing things to our awareness, and you're helping us to know better so that we can show up better in the world.
That's it. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. So give us some more tools, other tools that we need to be able to show up in the world, to strengthen our confidence. So how is it that we can strengthen our confidence so that when we do step outside of our homes, that we do show up mighty?
Positive thinking.
Mm.
Positive thinking. I know that may sound to some like what, but positive thinking really matters. The conversations that we have with ourselves, how we have that pep talk with ourselves
Mhm.
helps a lot. And so I know for this, I had to have a self talk, pep talk. I shared with you earlier this week that I'm an introvert, or some may say I'm an ambivert. But I truly have to psych myself up, get myself excited to be able to talk to other people and to present and go into rooms and lead conversations. And I have to give myself a pep talk.
Mhm.
All right, Tiffany, you got this. Um, they're gonna be eating out your hand tonight, so all will be well. This is gonna be easy breezy. But positive thinking really does help you show up and be in someone's presence with confidence and ease. So positive thinking all day long helps.
Mhm. Mhm. Can you give us some other examples of positive thinking? I know you said positive thinking, the way we talk to ourselves. So
Mhm.
what are some ways that we should talk to ourselves to help us to move differently?
This is for the women, but how you talk to your best girlfriend is how you should probably talk to yourself,
Mm.
right? If you call your best girl, sis, hey sis, look, you can do this. You can step in this room. You can do this deal. You can make this happen. Talk to
Mhm.
yourself as you would talk to your best friends. Um,
Mhm.
I've known some people who are very formal with themselves when they talk, or in the third person when they talk to themselves. But really making sure that your conversation with yourself is just highlighting your best qualities and that you want to be more than 100% on point with showing up and showing out. But just really reminding yourself that you are a winner, You know who you
Hmm.
belong to, where you came from, and this moment is yours.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. So just kind of thinking back, well, reflecting back on what we talked about earlier, before the conversation, before the taping started, we talked about taking that time for rest.
Yes.
And resting also can be another way of us showing up for ourselves.
Yes.
And I was saying that, for me, taking that rest meant like I was quitting, like I was a failure. Like I just did nowhere in my mind. Was I wanting to stop? Was I wanting to rest? Was I wanting to pause? Was I because I'm so used to being on the go. I'm so used to being all the things. So it was hard for me to take that rest because my body was like, okay, look, we can't do this anymore. We're shutting down.
Hmm.
So, how would you encourage someone like me to show up in the world, but by taking that rest that I need?
Yeah. We discussed before the show how the narrative in society has been
Mhm.
stay on your grind, working 24/7. Um, Winners don't sleep, right? You got to work all night and all day. Uh,
Yes.
Bill Gates and them, they don't ever sleep, or their money is working for them in their sleep.
Mhm.
Craziness. But rest, as we've learned, as we're learning, because I think you and I are both learning, that is a moment to reset. It is a
Mm.
moment for us to recharge. It's a moment for us to be still and to be in the moment, to hone on our creative energy, our spiritual energy,
Yes.
just some type of energy for us to move forward. And so I enjoy, and I'm hoping that the hype and the highlights on resting starts becoming more normal as we start talking more about mental wellness,
Mhm.
the impact of mental wellness on people, especially during the pandemic. But
Mhm.
taking that rest. Like, yes, we have been home working from home, but we're still managing a whole house. We're still, managing kids and husbands and wives and all this other type of stuff. But there
Mhm.
has to be a moment of recharging and resetting for ourselves so we can show up, so that we can be our 100% self. So I think that's just
Mhm.
important. And rest is not failure. It's not. Some people just need a mental break, a physical break, a sabbatical. And I hope that gets more normalized, right? That people just need a moment to be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? You're absolutely correct. Because it's like I was saying earlier, but in my mind, the way I processed it was that it was a failure. Like it was me quitting if I took that rest or if I paused. Like it's like because I gotta keep going, I gotta keep moving because this is what I do. Like you said, you gotta hustle, you gotta be on your grind. Like, we don't sleep. If you sleep, you ain't making no money. So this these are the things that you're constantly hearing. Like you're
Like, who's
constantly
really
hearing.
saying this now, right? Like, if you think about it, like, I bet the person who wrote this is like laying in the bed, texting this and posting this out, right? So yeah. So no,
Yes.
rest. We need to rest, and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for us to rest so we can
Mm.
reset. We have to reset. We have to recharge. We have to hibernate, whatever the word we want to use, for us to come back out better and stronger.
Yes. And you know what, you're right, because we have to recenter ourselves. And I think that was something what that my body, I'm gonna use me for an example because again, I'm a hard-headed one. I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there, transparency moment. I'm very hard-headed, listeners. And so it was my body saying, like, hey, it's time to recenter, like you said, to recharge, to rest. And that was something like I was just not wanting to do. But when my body shut down, it was
Right.
like, oh, never mind. Okay, let me go ahead and sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
But like you said, shifting that mindset that resting is not a failure. Resting does not mean I'm quitting. Resting is something that is temporary and it's just a pause for the moment, like you said, to reset, to recharge, and to come back, with better clarity
Hmm.
and with more energy so I can be better to show up better in whatever space or atmosphere or whatever I'm doing so I can show up better.
Yeah.
So yeah. And
Yeah.
like one of our listeners just said, we definitely have to be intentional about our rest. So we have to be intentional about these things that we do so we could show up better.
Yeah. If it's taking us to carve out time in our schedules, because now we run 7 days a week, we need to do that. I heard something just yesterday on
Mm-hmm.
NPR, and they talked about how Sunday used to be the day where retail wasn't open, things were shut
Mm.
down. Now you and I are young enough, but I remember my grandmother making us be still on Sundays. Like, you went
Yes,
to church, you ate, and that's it.
you're
You
right.
were pretty much still. It wasn't a whole bunch of we run into the grocery store, we doing this. You were just at home all day,
Mm-hmm.
not doing much of anything. And I look back, I'm like, they were resting. They were not, ripping and running like we were. But that day was dedicated to, Sunday worship and rest.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just 24/7.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's like we've gotten somewhere in there we've gotten past it. Like we just don't even consider resting, or we don't even consider the things that we should do. It's like we should just go back sometimes
Hmm.
to the way some things were because it was definitely beneficial for us.
Yeah. Yes.
So mhm.
And here we are today.
Yeah, right. Here we are today. So give us some other things. Like, so what are some, like I said again, what are some challenges that you yourself have had with showing up? Like, how was it hard for you? Because I know that you are the executive director, kudos, so awesome.
Thank you.
But for you being the executive director, was there a challenge for you showing up in that space of being the executive director?
I am a behind the scenes person.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was a executive director, I was director of operations, and I'm okay with being behind the scenes, meaning managing everything, um, handling the logistics, the project management piece. And so being behind the scenes was comfortable for me. And being an introvert, that is where I can be all day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
being the executive director, the challenge was I had to be upfront with people. I had to speak in front of people. I had to present in front of people. And so coming out of the behind the scenes to being in front was
Mm-hmm.
a struggle for me. But it comes with the role, right? It comes with being a leader. You have to be able to present, you have to be able to speak. And so at first it was a struggle. It was like, oh, like I love my job, but this is the part that I hate. But I had to take some time to invest in myself, right? So working with um, investing in yourself was another thing. And that was getting a leadership coach to help me get out of my head on why I was so comfortable with being behind the scenes versus being in front.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that right there. Like that just we can't just jump past that right there. Tell us more. So what was it that you found out about you of why were you so comfortable of being behind the scene and it was so challenging for you to step in the forward?
I really don't like shine. I don't like the spotlight or the shine, even though I do great work.
Mm.
I can say that now. I wouldn't have been able to say that several years ago. But it was a level of confidence, right? Even though I knew
Mhm.
I did great work, I knew I'm a team player, I'm a team leader. I lacked some confidence to be able to be in the front. And that just came with owning all the things that I've done, all my accomplishments, and not really saying, you know what, you kind of did that. Or somebody said, "Whoo, girl, I feel you. Thank you, Sean." But thank you. But I had to really own what I have done and to be
Mhm.
comfortable with that. And I never rested in my own laurels. Um,
Mm.
yeah, that was big for me. And
Mm.
just being confident, right? Like, I've done all this great stuff, but but I never really tell anybody about this. Or I've done all this great stuff and I'm okay standing behind the curtains like, whoo, yeah, great event. I did that. Nobody has to pat me on the back. But I had to learn to be confident in myself, to know that I've done good work and that I was going to bring and yield more good work in front of me. Um, the confidence thing was the big thing. Just
Mm-hmm.
pouring into myself to know that
Mm.
I am okay. I earned this position. I worked hard, and yeah, that's what I had to learn through. So that was big for me. That was big.
Mm. Really? And so, okay, so I hear you saying like, so even with you, you had to learn how to show up in in the new space that you were moving to.
Hmm.
And you said that you had to, like you said it was like confidence was the biggest thing for you, but also owning the space in which you were moving into and owning who you were and your good works that you did. Like you said, like you like to work in the back. You was like, okay, job well done. You didn't need anyone to pat you on the back. But how about like, okay, I don't want to say now, do you need somebody to pat you on the back? But when you receive the accolades now and someone says, Tiffany, you did a good job, and they know that you did the work, how does it make you feel now that they know it was you that did it?
I still struggle with compliments. So right, so I take
Mm.
it, I smile, and I swallow it. Um, I'm good with compliments, but I at the end of the day, when I see the girls that we've worked with grow into these wonderful women, that's my compliment. That's my we worked hard to pull off some grants. We worked hard to get these resources. We worked hard to keep her on track
Mhm.
and have the right mentors. So to see these girls at the end of the day or get emails or text messages, hey Miss Tiffany, I'm doing good. I thought of you, or I'm coming back to Charlotte. I want to see you. Those are my compliments right there.
Yeah.
So I know that my work and the work with my teammates and my board, that is all, that's it right there for me. That's the biggest compliment that I can get. But being in this role and learning to not to always play small, that's what I was doing. That's
Oh.
what my leadership coach called it. Like, you're playing small, but you're on this wonderful stage, but you just play the part of the tree in the back. I've learned to own my space and be in my space and know that I'm worthy of being at the tables that I'm sitting at. I am worthy, or I am the leader that I inspire my girls to be, the girls and the women in our program to be. So it has been a learning lesson. It has,
Mm-hmm.
it has been a lesson. But yeah,
Mm. So how do we push back? How do we push through from playing small? Because I that is something that I've seen a lot of women do is play small, like you say, your leadership told you, like you on this grand stage, but yet you're still playing small, like you're still being the tree in the back, but you have this big magnitude of a stage to play on, but you only want to be okay. It's like you rather keep yourself in the box
right.
versus be outside of the box. And this is the thing, this is like what I hear you saying, so let me know if I'm wrong, but you had a lot of space to play outside the box. But because you were comfortable being in the box, because you knew what was going on in your box, because you created your box.
That's exactly it.
So because you knew your box, it was like, you know what? I know how to navigate this,
Yep.
and all that space out there. No, see, when I hit that curve, I don't know what's gonna happen. Right,
Exactly.
right. Like you said.
Exactly. That box, like, oh, I got it designed. It's comfortable. I know how to move it. We
Yeah,
gonna, yeah, you nailed it on the head.
yeah. So how do we push through that? Through from playing small.
I think this varies for different people, right? So you know your own temperament. And for me, um it took some of my teammates to point it out, and some really close friends. They were like, why are you always chilling in the background? So it took a crew of folks, plus, like I said, a leadership coach for me to say, you know what, I thought I was going to the leadership coach to hone my own personal leadership skills and to be stronger and, but so much more came out of that.
Mm.
But I look back and say that's what I needed, right? So I needed someone to nudge, or I needed that crew to keep telling me, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Somebody says, holding me hostage, Tiffany, help me out. I am going to suggest like the whole leadership coach or type of leadership therapy, whatever you want to call it, because it really took me several conversations. Because at first I was like, I'm good. I'm so good behind the scenes, and I can have someone else do the speaking and the presenting. But it took that and the lessons and the conversations to get out of my own head, for someone to help me, like I said, see all the accomplishments that I've done, all that I've gone through to get to this point. Like, it was no small feat, and I never owned that. I never even congratulated myself on all the things that I've done. And so having someone to help me see that you've done some incredible stuff and you really need to be proud of yourself. You've come through some really interesting times. You should be proud of yourself. And there was a point that I couldn't say that I was proud of myself. Like, why do I, what? So that was, it was a lot, but having that leadership coach and talking through, and that was, I mean, this wasn't overnight. So it was almost a year, just really being able to be upfront, to be the leader that I needed to be for myself and for the organization. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm surprised I'm sharing this. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud.
Awesome.
I tell people that I've had a leadership coach, but that was the biggest piece that I walked away with. So investing in yourself, however that looks like, is important.
You know what? I just want to say thank you for your transparency. And it helps because so many times, like we will stay in the box because that is exactly where we're comfortable with. Like we said, because I know my box, I know this space, I know how to navigate in this space, I know how to move, I know how to shift, I know how to duck, I know how to dive, I know how to do all the things in this box. And when I step outside of this, it's the uncertainty that trips me up. It's the uncertainty where I'm like, no, I'm good because I don't know what y'all gonna do out there. And because we're so uncertain, we prefer to stay small and play small. Yeah, Sharon, like she said, the box just feels so safe.
Yes, it does. You got your pillow, your favorite blanket in that box, your favorite libation in that box, whatever.
Oh, you better talk about it. We got the favorite drink. Come on now, the favorite vino, everything up in the box.
Everything.
Look, we know our highs and our lows in the box. Yeah.
But what we cannot do, I believe, is that you can't completely grow in the box.
Ooh, I hope y'all heard it.
You can't grow in the box. Yeah, you may have built the box and the box is comfortable and it's safe and you're there, but then you have to think about, am I growing? Am I expanding? Am I taking up space? Am I owning my space? Am I maximizing my talents and my time? And I don't think you can do all of that in the box. That's just me.
You just left me speechless. That was so good. Y'all, if I could do it, rewind that again and say it again. Oh my goodness.
I don't think you can grow in the box. I don't think we can grow.
And that's the thing, and that's the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we really want to grow?
Yeah. And just to go back to Sean that says it's holding me hostage. The fact that it's holding you hostage, I feel like that's the first step. And the next step is figuring out, like, what do I need?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I make that happen? Like, what do you need to feed yourself to be able to grow and to be your true self? And whether that's, Toastmasters, or the
Mm-hmm.
leadership coach, or just talking to someone, doing a brain dump, like, that's the next step, I think. Just trying to figure out what you need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Look, I'm saying thank you. This her. I'm like, I'm like, ooh. Wait, look. I felt that. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Can we grow is the question. And
Yeah.
that's
Ooh. And you know what? And it goes back to what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about showing up in the world, but how can we truly show up in the world if we won't maximize the space that we have outside of the box?
mm-hmm.
We have to come outside the box. We can't be comfortable and say we're showing up in the world. So how are we showing up? Are we showing up small? Are we showing up big? Are we showing up being our authentic selves? Are we showing up with the mask on?
Mm. Yep.
I feel like you got something for that, Tiffany. I see you about to talk about this mask.
I mean, we can go so many ways with that, right? I think now more than ever, I think people are wanting to come out of that shell
Mm-hmm.
to really be their true selves, right? And I think the world is more accepting of people of our true selves, and especially of people of color, especially of women.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, what do you have to lose by not being your true self? Just be
Ooh.
you. Be you. And so, and if they don't accept you, that's their loss. But do you, be you, however that looks. And I think people will be okay with that. People will be
Mm-hmm.
okay with how you show up.
Mm-hmm. And I
Yeah.
think you're absolutely right. Like you said, people be okay with how you show up because they see the authentic you. They will begin to accept you for who you are. And then, too, at the same time, and if they don't, guess what? As long as you know at the end of the day that you were being true to who you are, it don't matter what nobody else say.
Right.
Nobody else's opinion about you matter. The only thing that matters is the thoughts that you have about yourself and what you say about you,
That's it.
which goes back to what you said, positive thinking. How what are you saying to yourself? What are
Mhm.
the thoughts that you have about yourself? So at the end of the day, that's what all that matters.
That's it. That is it. So
Mm-hmm.
if they don't like you, move on, keep it moving. They'll be all right, and you will be all right. You'll be more than all right because you've been your true self. You were true to yourself at the end of the day. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. You are absolutely right. Oh my goodness. So you okay? Again, for anybody who is just now joining in on the conversation, TC community, they can let you know that Miss Tiffany has definitely have dropped some nuggets. She's talking about how we are showing up in the world, how we should grow. Do we want to grow? She's talking about, not playing small, maximizing the space that we have that's outside the box, not maximizing the space in the box, but the space that's on the outside of the box. She's also talked about her program empowerment and what the wonderful things that they do. And I say this because I just love what they do with the helping the young girls to develop, defend, and find their voices. And that is exactly what she's helping us do on this evening by showing up in the world. And how we show up in the world is how we using our voice, how are we standing tall, how are we shining brightly, again, how we're even showing up. So if you are just now listening, hey, don't touch that dial. You might want to keep listening because there are some areas or some places in your life where you too can say, guess what, I've been playing it small, I have not been showing up, and I have not been my authentic, my true self. And I wear a mask and I feel like can't nobody see because I have all these things that's hiding and covering me. But guess what? Guess who really sees? Guess who really knows that that's not the true you?
Hmm.
You do.
Yeah. Yeah. it's interesting with the mask. And sh- there's this woman I follow on social media, and she is so transparent and open about her wounds.
Mm.
And I love that because she is the anti social media person, right? So she's not posting the cute pictures. This is me on vacation. No, this is me on vacation with my 3 kids. They running wild, yada yada yada. One is a little extra, but she's very, I like her because she is real about her wounds, about her issues, about what's going on, and she has mental issues. She experiences mental illness and is
Mhm.
very open about the moments where she struggles with that. And to
Mm.
see that and to be so open with it is like refreshing, and to know like this is part of her healing, part of her therapy for herself is
Mhm.
talking it out and happen to show it on social media, but she's helping other people. And I say all
Mm.
that to say is that it's okay to have wounds and issues and marks from where we have come from and where we've gone through, so people know like you've been through some things, you've done some things, and you're still standing, and you're still
Mhm.
good, you're still capable, you're still able. So us staying covered up or standing behind walls does nobody any good. It doesn't do
Mhm.
you any good by doing that.
Yes, you are so right. That is so true. Oh my goodness, that is so good. Look, I'm liking this. Yes. I am, I am, I am, I am. So you talked about earlier about celebrating yourself. So in celebrating yourself, what were some difficulties for you with celebrating yourself? Like, or what did it look like when you started to celebrate yourself?
I never shared my wins before, not
Okay.
even with like, I talk to my mom every day and she'll be like, well, how was work? Fine. Work was fine. I survived the day. Never sharing, we got some grants today. We won awards. I've done this. I've done that. It was hard for me to articulate um, my victories, my wins, and even
Mhm.
to some of my close friends, wouldn't articulate that because somewhere I thought it wasn't important enough, or that no one would care enough to say, "Oh wow, that was really great, Tiffany." But
Hmm.
I just never really hyped up the great things that I've done. Um, so now I share it. I'm not a big social media person, so I don't share it on social media, but my text chains will catch those
Okay.
victories, those wins. Um, and I make sure that I stop in the mirror and be like, "Congratulations, Tiffany." If nobody else says congratulations, I say congratulations to
Mm.
myself. In the mirror, like, "Congratulations, Tiffany. You did a good job today. Congratulations, you won this award. You got nominated for this." Um, but taking that moment with myself to validate myself and remind myself that, like, hey, this is good. So
Ooh. Okay. So the validation of self is a key component. I mean, I'm hearing that that is definitely a key component in showing up, because before we can show up in the world, we have to show up with ourselves.
we do.
And that's what I'm hearing
Yep.
as you're speaking. Like, okay, we're talking about showing up in the world, but let's backtrack it. But what do we think about ourselves? How do
Hmm.
we feel about ourselves? How do we celebrate ourselves? And so I feel like sometimes before we can celebrate ourselves, or maybe simultaneously as we're celebrating ourselves, we have to forgive ourselves about some previous things that we've done. Because sometimes we can be held back because we might feel like, well, okay, I'm gonna use myself for example. It was hard for me to celebrate myself because I knew that I was a teen mom. And I was like, well, I'm a teen mom, so I did something that was wrong, a mistake. You know how people paint it as a mistake, but
Right.
trust me, I removed that one. My blessing, I my blessing, or as the world might deem it, as a stigma or a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to forgive myself for that first,
Yes.
to get to the place where I could go, okay, now it's let me celebrate you. Let me validate you for even though you are a teen mom, you are still a wonderful mom.
That's it.
You
That's
know,
it.
yeah.
That forgiving is a whole process, right? Forgiving of
Mhm.
ourselves is so complicated. That could be another topic for a show. But that
No,
is so complicated. But you're right. Like forgiving yourself is the start, and turning those moments, those negative moments, or what we told ourselves or what others told us were negative moments, to they weren't negative, they were life lessons. They weren't
mhm.
negative, they were a milestone.
Mm.
Yeah. Completely forgiving and releasing yourself
Yes.
from those past whatever,
Mhm.
because they occurred for a reason. They happened for a reason. And like you said,
That's
yours
true.
was a blessing. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. So
And
yeah.
you know what's so funny that you say that? I tell people all the time. Now, look, I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. I'm not even gonna front for y'all. Your girl was, hey, your girl was happy. I'm just gonna say I was happy in them streets. And
Oh God.
and I tell anybody that when I had my son, it did this. It put a pause on me, and it brought me to a place where I gained clarification, and I was able to sit back, to process, and to reevaluate some things. And then it made me start moving differently.
Yeah.
And so I believe that me having my son was definitely a blessing. And it did a whole total shift on my life, that it benefited me. That it was for my benefit. It was for my betterment. And I thank him.
That's it. That's
Look,
it.
that's definitely one of them things. It's like if I could go back, I would not change the hands of times. I would have him again,
Yeah.
because I don't even want to see myself without having him at that age.
Mhm.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, not her. Not that girl.
But it, it made you, right? Like it made
Mhm.
you are who you are. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that whole forgiving process, it is timely, but it's so needed.
it is. It is. And you're
And I'm glad that
absolutely
you did
right.
that. And I'm glad that you did that for yourself. I'm glad that
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you. It took time, and I'm not even gonna lie, it took time, because I was stuck in the place of this was wrong. And I couldn't see the blessing of it, or I didn't even see the benefits of it, until as I got older and I started seeing, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Mhm.
And that's what I was able to see the blessing for it. But like I said before, it took time for me to get over the this was wrong. What I did, it was just horrible. It was just so detrimental. Like oh my God, I made it so. Woo, you've been like, baby, it wasn't that bad, you know. But you know what we do in our mind, we hype it up and we play it to where it's just so detrimental. And yeah,
Isn't it amazing how we amplify stuff in our minds, and when we say it out loud or we say it to others, they go, "What? It's not that bad." Or they put it in another light for you, and you go, "Oh, it's amazing." It is. I
you
have been
better
there
talk
with
about
you.
that. Yes, yes, and you're absolutely right. And that's why I think it's so good to talk things. Like with me, when I process, I'm a talker,
Mhm.
and I have to talk things out, because if I leave it in here, it would drive me crazy. It'll
Yeah.
drive me nuts. I'm already an over excessive thinker. I have high anxiety. So like I can't keep things in here. I tell people all the time, don't let me leave it here. Cause if I leave it here, ain't no telling what I'm about to shake and be moving up in here. You know, I won't be getting no sleep at night. Like,
Yeah.
we got to get it from here. And I've learned to even write it down on paper. I have a tape recorder where I have to just speak it out on a tape recorder,
That's a great.
or
That's a great idea.
it, I got it from Target for like $30. And it's so easy. Like it's like a little button. You just flick it up and I can kind of like record like whatever my thought is. And it really helps me because like I said, it gets it out of my mind. Because if I hold it in here, it goes here and it holds here and I can feel it in my throat. And then it goes from my throat and then I can feel it in my chest.
Mm.
And so that's where I hold a lot of stress, a lot of my anxiety. I hold it here. And that's where my body just go haywire,
Wow.
and like we were talking about, the resting and, taking that pause and taking that moment to recenter yourself, to realign yourself. That's what I have to do. And so I had to learn the different techniques and tools that I needed to help relieve my anxiety. Yeah. To help me show up better.
Right. But that tape recorder thing, that's a great idea. I have to brain dump because I feel like my head is gonna explode. So I have to like get it all out, and I just tend to write. But I like that recording myself because that would be just easier. I can't capture as fast all my thoughts, but I just have to let it go, all my thoughts and what I'm thinking and ideas and all that. Like, oh my gosh, I got to brain dump. I got to let it all out. So
you know what, afterwards I'll show you to you. Like I say, it's real small. It's very small, and you just push a button up and it automatically records, and you can just let it rip. But I have definitely found out that has been very helpful for me. So, but yeah, like I said, but going back to the celebrating of yourself, it's really good to celebrate yourself, because you validate yourself first. And if anybody else says, good job or congratulations, I'm so proud of you, it's only confirmation of what you've already told yourself, because you validated you first, because you told you, girl, like you said, girl, you did that today. Yeah, it was a good job. You was a bad motor scooter, girl. It's a bad motor scooter.
Yes. Yes. But that's exactly it. Validation, then confirmation. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like sometimes we flip it around. We want other people to validate us, and then we'll go back and go, okay, confirm it. When that's not the way it goes. It goes, you validate you and they confirm it.
Yep. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And I've never been obviously big on being confirmed by others, but the biggest piece for me was celebrating myself with myself. So yeah.
Ooh, yes. Celebrate you with you. I like that. I'm putting on a t-shirt. Thank you. No.
And I'll buy it. I have a collection.
So I want to go back to something that Gwen said. She said, we hold the keys to our box, but we wait for others to give us the okay. Ooh, to use the key that we hold. Let me tell you something. If she ain't preaching right here in this comment, I'm going to say this again, just for the people in the back who didn't hear her comment. She says, we hold the keys to our box, but we wait for others to give us the okay to use the key that we have. We are the ones that possess the key, but we rather for somebody else, like we just talking about this confirmation, we want other people to validate us, and then we're going to confirm it.
That's it.
So why do we do that though? Tell me that. Like, why do we do that? Why do we want, even though, and we possess it, we possess the key, we have the power on the inside of us, but then we want somebody else to give us the okay. Like, well, it's okay for you to do it.
We want to be sure. We want the comfort and the love of others, the acceptance of others. It's so many, and I'm sure the audience can hop in with other reasonings, but to it's almost like the little blue check on social media, right? If you got a blue check, that means
Mm.
you are it. You have
Yes.
this loved by social media platforms and your audience, and yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right. It's like like you said, the blue check. We wait for the verification. You got to be verified. Oh,
you
you
gotta
got
be
blue check. Oh, they verified. When that does not even dictate who you are.
exactly.
But Gwen, you hit the nail on the head with that one right there. That was good. That was
That was
good.
good.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that was so good. Again, Tiffany, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your journey and and helping us on our journey, bringing awareness to us on our journey and just giving us some healing while we're also on our journey. But one thing you definitely did, you broke some strongholds. You broke some strongholds off of us to let us know that it is okay to come outside the box. It is okay to play in the atmosphere, in the space that we have, and to maximize the space on the outside and not what was on the inside. So I just want to say thank you so much. And you are a blessing to all these young girls that you touch and you inspire. And thank you for making an impact on us and inspiring us also.
Thank you for having me tonight. I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for being so comfortable, for allowing me to share that. I don't think I've shared that with anyone before, so thank y'all. But
You know,
that
this
was
is
me.
what the conversation do. Sometimes the conversation got to pull some things on up out of you.
Conversation did what it needed to do tonight. It understood the assignment, as the kids would say. It understood the assignment, and it got me all the way transparent. So thank you. I enjoyed this, and thank you all for allowing me to share. I appreciate it.
Yes. So before we get ready to go, Miss Tiffany, are there any remarks that you would like to give to the TC community?
I think you summed it up really well. Resting is important. Rest, recharge, reset. It's okay. Um, and to play in that space that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
Be bold, be great, step out of the box. Don't let it, don't be hostage, or don't be in a hostage situation with your own self.
Mm-hmm.
Um, validate, validate yourself before anybody else does. So yeah, thank you for this easy breezy conversation.
Again, we thank you too. We thank you so much. TC community, guys. Oh my goodness. Wasn't Miss Tiffany Lee like just such a blessing? She has blessed us. She's dropped us with so many good nuggets. She's definitely has told us so much about showing up in the world, how we show up in the world, and that we should play big. Like, you know what, y'all, time out for playing small. It's time for us to play big and be our true, authentic selves and stand tall in who we are, shine brightly, and show up and let the world see who we are. And as you guys know, when we talked about her topic, I was like, wait a minute. That is my tagline. I always use that tagline. But I love it. I love talking about how to show up in the world, how we're showing up in the world. It is just such a great and awesome thing. It is definitely one of those things I just love so much. But until next Wednesday, TC community, as always, I love you guys. Thank y'all for being listeners. If you are not a member of the TC community, you can definitely become a member by 3 ways. Like the conversation, share the conversation, and make a comment in the conversation, because this is not a conversation just between me and my guests, but it's a conversation between me and the listeners. So, hey, y'all join in and tune in. So until next Wednesday, I'll see you next time. And remember, show the world who you are and don't allow the world to tell you who you are. Until next time, y'all have a good week. Bye.